this is TJ with Victoria's Pet TV and Victoria's Longevity TV. Today is our second episode in the Longevity TV series, and what we're going to try and do with this series is have the series build from episode to episode in kind of a starting and an ending type of thing, so that each episode will educate you towards the next episode. So what this episode is going to be on is we're calling it "A Calorie is Not a Calorie." There's a lot of people out there that believe that a calorie is a calorie no matter what the source is, that if it all comes down to calories in, calories out, in order to lose body fat and get in better health. And I'm here to tell you that that is false. Okay, a calorie is not equal to a calorie. A calorie from carbohydrate is not the same as a calorie from fat. They both cause different responses in the body. Okay, 1 calorie of fat and 1 calorie of carbohydrate will cause different responses in the body. Okay, and I'm going to go through and explain that to you as basically as I can, so that you will kind of understand it for those of you who haven't really looked into this before. Okay, there are 3 main sources of calories that you can eat, and there's some minor they call them micronutrients and stuff, but we're going to cover the macronutrients, and there's 3 main ones, and that's going to be your carbohydrates, your fats, and your proteins. I'm going to go through each one of these now, and a carbohydrate and a protein will each have 4 calories per gram. So if you eat 1 gram of carbohydrate or protein, you will get 4 calories. If you eat 1 gram of fat, you will get 9 calories. Now, most people will look at it and think, well, I want to avoid eating fat because it has almost double the calories as a carbohydrate or a protein does. And if you fall prey to the calorie is a calorie thing, then yeah, you would look at it that way and you would probably believe that. But that's not true, and that's really not the way it is. And I'm going to try and break that down and explain to you right now. First, we'll go over carbohydrates, because that is really truly one of the things that most people have a problem with, either not eating or not understanding how that works. Because if you look at the food pyramid from the FDA, it is, and I'm going to say it's blatantly wrong. It is blatantly wrong. It is not a healthy food pyramid. And here's why. It is really heavy on the ends of grains and carbohydrates. And in order, okay, so when you eat a carbohydrate, and carbohydrates are going to come from your grains, your fruits, your pastas, your rices, your potatoes, your breads, anything starchy like a pea, anything you can think of that's starchy, or treats, a candy, and sugared soda and things like this. When you eat a carbohydrate, it will basically turn into what is called glucose, and glucose is basically a sugar. So the body breaks down the carbohydrate into glucose, which is basically a sugar, and it releases it into your bloodstream. Now, in response, your body will release a hormone called insulin. And what insulin does is it helps regulate your blood sugar. So when you take in a lot of carbohydrate, you get a good release of insulin, and insulin shuttles the glucose and the energy from the carbohydrates into certain areas like your brain, your muscles, your liver, and other cells that use glucose for energy at that time. Okay. Now, when the body has an abundance of glucose and the stores are full in the brain and the liver and the muscles and such, now what the body does is what the insulin does is it shuttles the carbohydrates into your fat cells. So you will store more body fat. Okay. Now, what is that fine line that you can go to with carbohydrates before you spill over, so to say, and the body's going to store it as fat? No one knows that, and a lot of that has to do with energy expenditure from your job, if you're exercising, things like this. So, and insulin is the only hormone, the only way that you can store body fat. If you do not have an insulin response, meaning your body does not release insulin because you're not eating carbohydrates, you will not store body fat. Okay, that means even if you're eating fat. Okay, and I know it's hard for some people to understand this because they've been so taught the opposite of this. And I'm going to tell you today that we have done this on ourselves with our own nutrition, and our son and my mom follows it, my wife follows it, I follow it. You will lose body fat by cutting carbohydrates out or down, at least, and eating more fat. Okay, and I'm going to go into that quickly here. So The reason a lot of people get that energy swing through the day, though, what happens is when, okay, your body, you eat the carbohydrate, you get the blood sugar, insulin pulls the sugar down and shuttles it into all of the body cells that need it, and now you have low blood sugar. So you get cranky, you get tired, and you get hungry. So what do? You eat more. So you eat some more, and now blood sugar rises, body produces insulin, and the cycle just repeats. And that's why you get this lulls through the day. And a lot of people complain in the early afternoon, like 2 o'clock after they have lunch, they're exhausted. They could literally sit at their desk and sleep. It's happened to all of us, okay? So how do you get around that? How do you produce, what do you do for a more consistent energy source for dietary, other than taking in caffeines and coffees and things like this? The next macro I'm going to go over, nutrient, is going to be protein. Now, again, carbohydrates, another point of carbohydrates is that the body does not need any carbohydrates to live. You can eat literally 0 carbohydrates and you can live, not just live, but live very healthy with eating 0 carbohydrates. Okay, so the next thing we're going over, the next macronutrient we're going to go over is protein. Now, protein is one of those macros that you do need to survive. Your body has to have minimal amounts of protein a day to survive. It is the building block for your body. It builds your muscle, your skin. It helps build all your cells. It is in almost every part of your body. Protein will be found. Again, you will not find carbohydrates in any part of your body. Okay? Now, and it cannot be stored. Protein cannot be stored, meaning that it doesn't store up in the body. It doesn't have a storage mechanism like the liver and things like that to store it in case you need more of it because you haven't eaten some. So it's important with protein that you take in a consistent level of protein throughout the day. You know, like if you're going to eat 3 meals a day, that each of those meals will contain a certain amount of protein so that your body will have optimal amounts of protein to rebuild and restore itself. Okay, so again, protein builds muscle, tissues, things like that. It is not readily used as a fuel source. It can be broken down and used as a fuel source. There's a mechanism the body does have to do that, but it's not a good fuel source for the body, and the body knows that, so it's not going to go to that unless it's really in drastic measures. Okay, the next and third and the last macronutrient is basically going to be, well, besides water, will be fat. Okay, now fat is something we're going to be spending a lot of time on in this series, so I'm going to go ahead and brush over it right now, and we're going to get more into it down the road because it is a complex macronutrient, and it is something that is extremely important for your health and for your body. But what you're going to find, fat is in your brain. Your brain is mainly built of fat and saturated fat. Your hormones are made of fat. Cholesterol, your cholesterols, your testosterones, your estrogens, all of your hormones are made of fat. And cholesterol helps shuttle those hormones throughout your body. So your body does need cholesterol. And this myth that cholesterol is so bad, like if you get up to 190 or 200, the doctor wants to put you on a statin drug to lower your cholesterol, is just insane. It's absolutely insane. And you know, but what you need fats in your body, and I mean saturated fats in your body, to have optimal hormone levels, to have optimal brain function. And how fats can be very important as they rebuild. It's found everywhere in your body, and especially for a woman who's going through any kind of change of life, it is very important that they're eating enough healthy fats. And when you say healthy, a lot of people think, oh, avoid the egg yolks and the beef and all that. No, healthy fats, including the egg yolks, the beef, the bacons, and things like that, because the healthy fat is honestly really the saturated fats, because you need a good amount of those to keep your brain functioning, your hormones functioning, and your nerve endings functioning. Anyone who has any kind of a nervous disease, not like stress and anxiety, which, I mean, I suppose that could help, but any kind of a nerve function, like an MS type of thing, definitely want to be eating more fats and saturated fats, because it helps your nerves function at an optimal level. The sheath around the nerves are made up completely of fat, saturated fat. Okay, so it is something that you definitely want to have a good amount in your body. The key to this whole thing is how do you've got to combine these nutrients in the right amounts for it to be optimal for your body, to have optimal health for your body. And it's kind of confusing. And We do offer programs, like I said in the last episode, where we will come in and we will set up a diet and a nutritional plan for not only you but your whole family. Go through like how to shop and how to cook and how to combine your foods at each meal for optimal health. And along with optimal health will come optimal appearance. You see people who are very wrinkled and things like this, and then you look at them and you're like, boy, they're my age. How is that possible? I see it all the time. I'm 47, where people, I will see someone who is 47 years old, and I'll be like, they look like they're 15, 20 years older than me. You know, some of that maybe has to do with genetics, but a lot of that has to do with how you live your life. So now, real quick, you can use fat as fuel. And there are certain diets that are kind of dependent on that. Like the paleo or caveman diet is very fat fuel sourced. That's how we live. My wife and I are, and pretty much my son now, are paleo, meaning we do not eat very much carbohydrates at all. My wife actually and my son actually eat a little more carbohydrate than I do. I try to stay on zero carbohydrates the majority of every day. Okay. Because my body, I feel good when I eat fats because it has those 9 calories per gram. It's a nice steady energy source, and the reason it is also so steady is because of the fact that when you eat it, you produce no insulin. So you don't have insulin pushing your energy levels up and down like they do when you eat carbohydrates. So now you have this nice steady energy source. And the thing I noticed when I switched to this a number of months back is that my brain function heavily improved. I could remember things, and my brain was really sharp, and that was good because at 47 I was starting to notice that I wasn't remembering so much anymore, a lot of things, and I was getting a little worried about that. The other thing I noticed is that I had optimal energy. I didn't get those afternoon lulls. Not that I never would get tired, but it wouldn't be that crashing tired where I literally have to sleep right now type of feeling. It's something that, if I didn't get enough sleep the night before or something like that, a little rundown, yeah, I might feel a little draggy, but it was a nice steady energy flow throughout the day. The other thing I noticed is I lost body fat, and a lot of it. And I am talking, I eat on most days a pound of bacon a day, but everything we do again is grass-fed or organic, and we'll go through that again in future episodes. So when you eat fat as a fuel source and stop eating carbohydrates, and I mean zero carbohydrates or minimal, like from vegetables where you're getting 2 or 3 or 4 grams of carbohydrate with every meal, which won't add up to much, your body switches over to a process called ketosis. And there's a number of types of ketosis. There's a couple that are unhealthy, some of them that diabetics deal with. But for a normal, healthy person, if you go into ketosis, it's a perfectly healthy state to be in. And all ketosis means is your body has switched from burning glucose or carbohydrates to burning fat as fuel. And you will notice the first few days when you do that switch, you feel kind of crappy. I'm not going to lie. It can last up to a week. My wife, it took a good week for her to feel better. But for me, it took about 3 days, and I felt amazing. And it's that quick. You wake up one morning, and you're like, I'm sharp, I've got energy, I feel good, no bloating, and all of a sudden you start noticing throughout the days and weeks that you are losing a good amount of body fat, especially around your waistline. And that is eating fat. I mean, you're eating beef, you're eating dark meat chicken with the skin on, you're eating bacon and things like this, olives, and it's a good fat. So what I wanted to check was, how would this affect my overall health? I saw what it was doing for me physically, but what was it doing for me inside? So I ran blood work before and after, and in 3 months' time, I dropped my cholesterol by almost 50 points in 3 months. My cholesterol came down, and this is again eating a pound of bacon, beef, and I mean a lot of beef. Majority of all my meals a day are beef. I have chicken once, and I have fish 2 to 3 times a week. I should probably up the salmon a little bit, and I'll go into that later in episodes of why salmon is so important in the diet. But my cholesterol came down almost 50 points. My triglycerides cut by 60-some%. That is huge. I mean, that is like huge. My doctor couldn't believe it. He said he'd never seen anything like this without medication. And he couldn't believe that I was eating the way I was eating and have these results. Now, was it just me? So we tested my wife the same way. Same thing happened. Her blood panels just drastically improved. Drastically improved. Her endometriosis, which she has suffered from for many years, has been almost non-existent because of this diet. Because what you're going back to doing is eating primarily the way our ancestors, our caveman ancestors, ate. And that was fat and protein with very minimal amounts of carbohydrates. Okay, so it's kind of basically called the paleo diet. We have tweaked it to fit our needs a little bit better. But it's basically called the paleo diet. You can research it for yourself and things like that. And I suggest you look into it. If you have any questions on it, please feel free to swing by and we'll talk to you about it. And like I said, we do offer programs where we can come in and set things up for you to show you how to follow a program like this. And people think it would be very difficult, but it's very easy. We go out to dinner, it's very easy. You can have a steak. You can have bacon wrapped shrimp. You can have bacon wrapped scallops. You can have very tasty, good foods where you feel like you're actually eating food. You just don't eat the baked potato or the rice or the pasta and things like that. And there are things out there that you can get that are like black bean pasta and things like this that you can eat that aren't going to be carbohydrate rich. You know, that I will, from time to time when I have a craving for some pasta, I'll do that. And it's not like we don't ever eat carbohydrates. We do, but we make sure that 85-90% of our dietary intake is extremely low carbohydrate, if not zero carbohydrate at all. So if you have any questions on this, please come in, talk to us, and let us know if you want any help setting something up. Again, this is Victoria's Longevity TV, and we are also Victoria's Pet TV. We're located in 14 North Main Street, Fond du Lac, Wisconsin, 920-923-1991. And I look forward to talking to you guys again soon in the next episode. Thanks, and have a great day.